in my opinion, as a leader, you're completely responsible for providing a safe, healthy, and functional work environment for the people in your organization. And one of the things that when I came into command, I noticed was there was a little bit of lack of attention that was given to some of the maintenance that was occurring at our launch control centers, where we operate the nuclear weapons. The weapons were being taken care of in a great order, but a lot of the equipment in the launch control center is aging, and sometimes it's a little bit harder to acquire some of that equipment. But you notice that over time there'd be a trend where a lot of the equipment, even though it's old and aging, harder to get, it was just not, there was no focus or attention put onto that. Mm-hmm. In one instance that we had, I recall, I was on alert with you, was we were out there at the squadron command post at it, and we were inside the launch control center. There's a piece of equipment that's used to cool the launch control center in the event of an emergency. So it's an emergency environmental control system. Day to day, you operate on the normal environmental control system, but if in the event that fails, the emergency system kicks on, and the point of that system is to keep the equipment cool because it's very old. Well, this piece of equipment down the launch control center is a newer piece of equipment. However, it was having a lot of faults on it, and every time there was the door. Every time, every few minutes, it seemed like an alarm would go off on that system, and so to silence the alarm, you'd have to get up and walk across the launch control center and hit silence the alarm. The problem is, it's not a big deal to walk across anywhere, but the issue is that while you're trying to do other things, while you're trying to do your other work at the console where the primary operating system is, if you're constantly having to run back and forth and silence this alarm, it becomes a nuisance. It actually can create problems for operators because they'll lose focus and attention on the tasks they need to do to handle this alarm that's constantly going off.
Absolutely.
So what they decided to do, several of the operators, was they took a vis-a-vis pen, and they kind of created it was very ingenious, actually, I thought, kind of a lever type system. It had a string that ran over to one of the chairs on where the operators sit, and every time the alarm would go off, you would pull the string and it would operate the lever, which was the pen, which would operate the pen, and it would push the button for you, so you didn't have to get up. You could just pull this little lever, and it wasn't on string. I think they used tape, actually, duct tape, but it functioned fantastic. It was a great idea. However, that's not the way the system was designed, and regardless if the whole point is that the alarm should have been going off at all. That was There was no need for that alarm. There was a bigger root cause problem that was taking place, and it wasn't being addressed by the maintenance community. So that frustrated me, and so what I did was I engaged with the squadron commanders at my level, the maintenance squadron commanders, to address the situation and get in there and fix the problem. And it took a while to actually get fixed, but in the end the solution was such a simple solution. It took engagement by my peers to go out there and fix the problem, and the problem was not even the maintenance community wouldn't fix the problem because it wasn't their problem. It was a CE type problem, and so having to work through those different channels to get it fixed became a little bit of a challenge. And the big thing is you just had to be engaged, consistent, to make sure that the issue is being addressed, because I wasn't going to let my folks who are operating this weapon system deal with something that could be distracting and potentially create a situation that's not good for us to be in. So that kind of describes the situation a little bit and how we got there. But it's important, in my opinion, it's important. It kind of goes a little bit to compassionate leadership, making sure that you're, like I said, providing the tools and resources that your folks need to get the job done. I mean, you wouldn't have a pilot, no commander would ever have a pilot step to a plane with something wrong in the cockpit, that's not allowing the system to operate correctly. So why are we going to let anybody for that instance work in an environment that's not safe or could create problems for any career field, be it a heavy equipment operator or a doctor, who's having to deal with a light that's flashing in the operating room. That's just not something that's going to be productive to allow for an organization to function correctly. And in order to provide that combat capability, we need to have a functional weapon system that operated as in accordance with the tech orders we're given. And I wasn't going to tolerate anything but that system functioning properly. And there was several other occasions where we had other pieces of equipment that it seemed like they would be persistently, not given the right attention. And you just have to stay. You have to have, you got to stay engaged, and you've got to be follow through, and don't take no. Nah, we can't fix it as an answer. There's always a way to get to yes, and it's a little bit about the way you approach the situation. Sometimes, you can approach it and be extremely aggressive, and that doesn't necessarily work all the time. Or you can, be kind of like reasonable in the way you approach it and say, hey, when you engage with that, the squadron leadership and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is why it's important to me. This is why it's important for us to have a functional system. And if you can express that in a way that is not kind of, I don't know, being a jerk, I guess the best way to describe it, you'd be surprised at what you can accomplish, because everybody's trying to accomplish the same thing. But you can kind of express to them how, it's a priority for you, and by them fixing it, they're helping eliminate an issue. So, but just being kind and considerate and compassionate is important. It goes a long way to having people work together as a team, because you're all together working as a team trying to accomplish the mission. It might not be able to get fixed immediately that minute in time, but if you follow through, and I think that was having the ADOs, and checking in on them. Hey, how's it going? What can I do for you guys to help get this fixed? It's important to do that. And that's what we did. Is I tracked all the maintenance that was going on in that launch control center or anywhere in the field each day. I knew what maintenance was taking place, what were the priorities, what were the problems that we were seeing, and then how do you go about fixing those problems, and then making sure that your subordinates who are working for you stay engaged. And if they can't fix it at their level, that's when I would step in a little bit at my level. And also it's important to build relationships with not just your peers, but also the senior leaders in the organization, because those relationships can go a long way to creating a success, because you're all, like I said, you're all trying to accomplish the same exact mission, at least in the 341st Missile Wing. You're all trying to work this, and it's just how do you go about doing it so that it works out in everybody's favor. So, because typically if there was an issue, I try to work it at the lowest level, but if necessary, I would engage with the group commander and just explain the situation and the impact it's having on the crew members, and ask. Sometimes it's best as I always thought was, hey, inform the group commander, let them know what the situation is, so that they're at least aware of it. And I'd say, I'm still working it at my level. I don't need you to engage, but just in case it ever comes up in conversation, for example, maybe the squadron commander the maintenance squadron commander went to their group commander, and then their group commander then comes down to our group commander to say, hey, I heard the situation, so they're not blindsided. So it's always good to provide that constant, feedback, not feedback, but awareness up to your leadership, so that they're tracking what's going on. But trying to work it at your level is important, because if you're going to bring someone a problem, like I always tell my kids this too, if you're going to bring me a problem, I want a solution.